Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of my recap slash review of Iyanla Fix My Life. This episode is called Broken Reality. Hazel E. So in this episode, I'm gonna be doing a get ready with me and talking to you guys about this episode with Hazel E. It was an interesting episode. I thought there was a lot going on, but let's get my full review with my get ready with me. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna start off with everything. The only thing I have on my face right now is moisturizer. So we're gonna do the primers of the lid, the forehead, and the face, and then we're gonna do our eyebrows. So let's jump into this episode. This was an interesting episode. I feel like it could have been longer, but this time I could actually tell that there was things happening behind the scenes that we weren't aware of. There was definitely work being had behind the scenes with the ladies of this episode. This episode is about Hazel E, who is a love and hip hop personality. It looks like she's a rapper of some sort. She is under fire because she made some comments on Twitter talking about dark-skinned black women and saying how, calling them ugly monkey butts, and how they're jealous of her and mad at her because she's light-skinned and pretty. And so she's on Iyanla to kind of like, I don't know what, to like fix what's wrong with her and fix why she would say something like that. I'm not quite sure. So I'm not sure exactly what she's getting help with. Maybe uncovering, I mean, as we go along, uncovering some stuff, but like, it's not clear what exactly she needs help with in the very beginning. So Iyanla starts off the episode with talking to her mother, saying, you know, just so that you are aware that some of the things that we're going to talk about in this episode or in this time of healing is gonna probably be your fault or something that you didn't handle well as a mother. So are you prepared to have that be the case? And mom says, yes, she is prepared. She doesn't think there's anything that she's done to teach her daughter this kind of behavior, but she is prepared to be partly responsible for it. And I thought, okay, this is a good beginning. The mom, I felt like she was putting on a show from the very beginning. There was something still a little closed off about her. I didn't feel like she was super forthcoming with the information. Iyanla's just asking her about Erica, what's Hazel's real name, is asking her about Hazel's upbringing and what that was like. And the mom paints a picture of, you know, she was a teen mom. Her father forced her to marry the man that she got pregnant by, which is Hazel's father. And shortly thereafter, he passed away in a car accident. And so Hazel never really knew her dad, but she does have some of his characteristics. Iyanla asks her if she wanted to have a baby. And she says, you know, I guess, well, the answer would be no, but, you know, I loved her. And, you know, she's my ride or die. She's always there for me. She's just very supportive, you know, all this stuff. The next conversation to be had is the conversation between Iyanla and Erica, aka Hazel E. So the conversation is, first of all, Hazel comes out in the weirdest outfit I have ever seen on anyone. She has on like a sort of light pink, you know, maybe light orange bodysuit tank top situation with some like track pants, you know, like some black sweats with like red stripes down the side of them. Then maybe some micro suede, same color as the top, like pointy heeled boots. And then like a brown stole, you know, like I personally had a hard time staring at Hazel or looking at her because there's something about her face that I don't like to judge black women and how they see beauty, because I know we live in a world where the European standard of beauty is the standard of beauty, and a lot of women unconsciously, black or no, move towards that standard of beauty. But there was something about the way her makeup was done, her hair, everything that was just like, sis, are you trying to stay a sister or you want to be a sister? Like, it was weird for me. I was just like, what? Why does she...
Listen, that's her style. That is her style, Wahima. Leave that woman alone.
So that's all I'm going to say about it. But I just had a hard time looking at her because I just was like... She looked like White Chicks. She looked like the Wayans from White Chicks. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Iyanla talks to her and she basically admits that she said some really horrible, terrible things, and now black women and black people are mad at her and she doesn't want that and she doesn't know where that came from. And in the moment she was saying it to those specific women. It's not like she thinks that all dark women are this way, but she can understand because of what she said how that could be, you know, taken in that light. And like, duh girl, yeah, it was taken in that light. There's no other light to take it in. Iyanla's trying to get her to understand her power and say, you know, like, these lyrics that you write, have you behaved badly in order to get the fame that you wanted? You know, Erica says no, that she doesn't think that she's let go of her morals to get what she wants. Even her mother is just like, you know, even I didn't raise her to be a certain way, so if she's this way, I'm not sure where this is coming from. There's like an odd denial from the both of them, but the good thing about it is that they're both still willing to learn about their mistakes and like how childhood traumas and things that happen in your adult life, colorism and whatnot, can affect you. In the conversation that she's having with Iyanla, Hazel says that her mother told her that there were certain topics to not talk about. So we learn that Hazel learned from a very early age that you have to keep up a certain image. You have to keep up a way of being to make sure that everything looks put together and that you're fine. Hazel was talking about her mother was abused by one of her boyfriends or her husbands, and her mother would just cover it all up with makeup, would pretend like everything was okay, wear all the red lipstick over a busted lip, have all the makeup on, concealer on over a black eye. There's a huge cover up in their family as far as the way they deal with trauma and whatnot. And so that a lot of that makes sense. As always, I'm using my Lancome Cushion. This is in 555 Suede C. I'm going to be adding some Brown Sugar BB Cream by Black Radiance. And the reason why I added is because the Lancome is just the Lancome is just a little too dark for me right now. I think it'll probably be perfect when we're in full summer. For those of you worried about me not matching my face to my chest, because believe me, girl, there are people who are worried about it, adding a little bit of the brown sugar helps to even that out. And so that is why I do it. But I put too much on, so it's just gonna be too much this time. Okay, so the next part of this, Iyanla takes Hazel E, takes her into a room where she has, you know, Black women throughout history on the wall. She's got some Dorothy, you know what I'm saying? She got Dorothy Dandridge, she got the Rosa Parks, she's got Harriet Tubman, she's got Ida B. Wells, she's got Bethune, you know what I'm saying? She's got all the women. You know, she got all the power players of the 20th century on that wall. And she's got Rosa Parks sitting next to Septima Clark. Now, for those of us who did not know who Septima Clark was, because Hazel tried, she was like, yeah, Septima Clark and Rosa Parks, what did they do? They didn't get off that bus. Wrong. Septima Clark was never on a bus, girl. And for those of us who don't know who Septima Clark was, for those of us who had to look it up just now on like Google to figure out who Mama Clark was, she is the grandmother or the godmother of the civil rights movement. She's very definitely underplayed because I have never heard of this woman. But what she did, and she was born in 1898 and she lived into 1987, and her role during the civil rights movement was to make sure that Black people were literate. She started several workshops, several schools throughout the Deep South to teach Black people how to read and to understand what it is to be an American citizen. She taught them their civil rights. I mean, literally how to read through teaching them the civil rights and political strategies and whatnot, so that they could, when it came time to vote, vote and understand what's going on and read and be able to take those literacy tests that, you know, people put together trying to stop Black people from being able to vote in the South during that time. So that's who Septima Clark is. For those of us who did not know, the lyrics that Hazel E has in her songs are kind of derogatory towards women and towards herself as a Black woman. Yet she came from this long lineage of strong Black women who've done what they've done in order for her to be able to express herself currently, which I do think is a really great point. However, at this point, you can't hold Hazel E accountable. Like, who is she? You know what I'm saying? Who is she as a Black woman for us to be holding her accountable for her lyrics? There are so many other Black women. I mean, if we're going to start with Black women with their lyrics in the limelight, like, I'm gonna need everyone to start with Little Kim. You know what I'm saying? Like, Hazel E is just following a pattern of a woman trying to make her money, and I can't fault that, especially if she's speaking her experience. Now, if she wasn't popping that booty and she's just making that music, and that to me is derogatory and detrimental to the community, because if you weren't behaving that way, why do you sing songs about women who behave that way? Now, I'm not knocking anybody who's popping their booty. What I am saying, though, is there are some times where it's a necessity for one to pop one's booty in order to make money to survive and have their family thrive, right? So I respect that hustle. What I don't respect is the faking of that and then making records based on that lifestyle that is getting out to massive millions amount of women and that actually not being your story. That's all I'm saying. So is it right for Iyanla to bring up Septima Clark and Rosa Parks to Hazel E? I don't think so. I'm just going to set this real quick. Losing my Laura Mercier powder. Just take a little bit in here, right? And then put it in the lid. Because I'm just going to do like a swishy swish. This is not going to be like a baking situation or pressing the powder into one skin type situation. I just want a light, you know, just a light, like, setting. Anyways, we have day 2 where Hazel comes out looking like Wesley Snipes in New Jack City with that hat. So it comes out that Hazel has been abused, and specifically she was abused in her childhood by 2 darker skinned black women who I assumed were her babysitters at some point. Her mother, when confronted with this, pretends not to remember. And Iyanla has a problem with that. I have a problem with that. Like, you don't remember your daughter telling you? She's like, oh yeah, I remember now. I'm like, what? That wasn't one of the top 10 moments of your child's life that you remember? How? Oh yeah, I remember now that you were sexually abused. But I had forgotten. Iyanla then does an exercise where she has Hazel come and sit next to her mother and speak her truth without her mother being able to interrupt and saying anything. And it's a really great moment because I think that the mother gets to hear all the things that has happened, that the mother has just allowed to happen and or has swept under the rug, because she's the kind of person that just keeps the past in the past and wants to forget and move on. And that's not obviously helping Hazel E, especially with this bit of business that we've just discovered. So the episode kind of does a lot of things. I mean, it talks about abuse of the mother and covering up and creating an image. It talks about the sexual abuse of Hazel, and then it talks about colorism. So it's just like a lot in this episode that I wish there was more opportunity to divulge, or maybe just talk about one thing, or maybe have a 2-parter or something, because it was a lot of information. So then we're still on day 2 of the healing house. And Iyanla brings some celebrities over to have a conversation with Hazel E. Now, it is not clear to me if these celebrities are her friends in real life or just women that she was able to gather, you know, in a couple of weeks to get to come and speak to Hazel. 3 people I didn't know and 2 people I did know, you know. She had 2 dark-skinned friends, which were Estelle and Raven Goodwin, and Raven Goodwin is the actress that's from Being Mary Jane, the daughter, I mean the niece, Niecy. Then the 2 light-skinned women was some woman who was like in Booty Call or something in the 90s, some actress. I have a vague memory of her being in some kind of movie like that in the 90s. And they were talking about their experiences as being dark-skinned versus being light-skinned, and how light-skinned women are often misunderstood and treated poorly because they felt that, you know, they had it better. And Iyanla says basically like, no, you guys didn't have it better, especially if we go back to slavery time. Y'all got raped first, you know? And so I was just like, whoa. I don't know. Colorism is just so stupid. And I know that it isn't our fault. Like, I just hate color. I hate it. Like, come on, it's 2018. You don't think you're better because you're light skinned. Come on, it's 2018. You don't think her experience is better as a black woman because she's light skinned. You don't think that. And if we do, then maybe when it comes to dealing with black men, because I think that's where colorism probably still might stem, where if your pool of men you date are black men and they have a stigma dealing with colorism, that's how I think it could affect your life. But for me, otherwise it doesn't affect my life. Pause. What I mean to say is that colorism doesn't affect me in the same way anymore. It used to, and definitely as a dark-skinned woman, oh, I know about colorism. But it just is hurtful that in 2018 there are still communities that still perpetuate this idea. The only way my dark skin affects my life is when I'm trying to buy makeup. Otherwise, like... melanated! You know what I'm saying? Let's do some eye work. So this is what I was doing that was super simple with my eyes. We're just going in with some highlight, and we are putting it all over our eyelid very lightly. So very, very like a light misting of it on the lid, all the way up to the brow. Then like I just do a little right here, and then some right here. And then we go in and like just move it about. So I just kind of continue to blend until it becomes not as patchy. So anyways, Amber, I keep calling her Amber because I want to say she's Amber Riley because that's who I thought it was. I was like, this is not Amber Riley. Why does this person look like Amber Riley? It's not. So Raven is talking to her about how much she loves her and supports her and wants the best for her. And Estelle says, you know what, girl, you got to let it go. Like, we're all in this together. The lighter skinned girl, the woman who was in the 90s movie, was like, I felt so bad one day I got invited to a party and they didn't want my dark skinned friends to come. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, girl, how is that your light skin story? But okay, it's a real kumbaya moment. They all resolve to never deal with colorism again in their life and, you know, move forward from there. I do think that Hazel got some stuff off her chest, and I really feel good about that for her. As far as the viewing audience, like, what did we learn? I'm not sure. You know, I feel like maybe this was, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what we learned, you know? So yes, you know, the struggle between the women dealing with colorism is real. So I'm just putting a little bit of a transition color right here to make some definition in my eye. It's just like a sienna or like an orange, like a clay orange. It's in the Juvia's palette, Nubian 1. You can do a dark brown if you want to. I have done a dark brown before. So Hazel starts to cry when she realized that all of these actors came, all of these people in the industry came for her, specifically came to Iyanla Fix My Life for her, and she's always felt like no one's really had her back and no one has been there for her, and that she's always had this like secret silent battle with brown skinned women because they've been like, I guess, threatened by her or whatnot. And she was really, really emotional during that time. Her mother talked about her experience about being a fairer skinned woman and that. And I'm just like, wow, this episode just packed in so much, you guys. So much that it's really, really hard to unpack. I'm putting a brown liner right now. Sorry if I covered myself just now. This brown liner is by Stila, and it is the first brown liner I've ever used where like the color is not ashy. It's like an actual brown on me and it shows up. Now just to add a pop of color, I'm going to go in with a really light, like goldish lime green and give myself some color around my eyes. I can't do it with this, so I'm going to shut off the camera and come back. Sorry. So I really feel like Raven did kind of drop some knowledge when she came through and said that the hardest part about being healed is finding out that you're not actually healed. I think that Hazel and Raven were friends before this, is just why Raven flew in, because she felt like the comments that Hazel made wasn't Hazel and she didn't know where they were coming from. And Iyanla says, well, they came from the hurt little girl who was attacked by dark-skinned women and who was abused by dark-skinned women. That's who it came from. It didn't come from Hazel necessarily. It didn't come from Erica necessarily. It came from that hurt person. And I thought it was very, very poignant statement to make. And they told each other that they hurt each other. And Hazel was saying, you know, you hurt me because you said that I was light, bright, and damn near white. And like, I've had all this privilege. And, you know, they were just representing light skin or dark skinned women, not necessarily their personal experiences with each other. And so I thought that was an interesting way of having that conversation. I do like that Iyanla said sorry from her generation for teaching a generation of Black women to be silent and to not speak their truth so that the healing couldn't happen. And I think that's really poignant on her end, because it is, you know, the generations before us that taught us how to cope and how to behave. But now we're at the place where we need to let that out and let that open so that we can heal and move forward as a body of people, Black women. So now I'm going to line my lips with Chestnut by MAC. It's my tried and true dark girl like lip liner. I'm going to go in with Cathedral. It's a Kat Von D studded lip color. It's a dusty rose color. I don't add too much of it on because, one, it always separates on me. It's a matte lipstick and I always have just a little bit of moisturizer underneath it because I can't fully do the matte. I feel like it looks like Bubba Gump, like dry, big pink lips, and I'm not into that look. So I always put a little on, right? And then I go over it with some kind of gloss. The gloss that I have, which is the only gloss that I really have, I think, is like a shimmery gloss or like a, you see that? This is from Bare Essentials. It's a really old color. I would go in with a little bit more lip liner and chestnut to darken it up a bit, but this is the final look. My hair is still kind of wet, or still has product in it, so don't judge me. Yeah, guys, so what do you think of this natural look? It's relatively natural. I didn't do too much, right? Okay, so this is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just wanted to do something simple for you, something so that you don't feel overwhelmed with having to do so many colors. Getting eyeliners in bright colors really does save you a lot of time and energy. You can do a lot with your bright eyeliners. You can zhuzh up a look. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take that much. So I hope that you got something from this video, and that's it. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.